This is the latest update on the Sean Diddy Combs federal trial. We have new updates from the courts, and it seems like Diddy is in jail right now panicking because he understands that he's about to go through something that he didn't want to go through. And because of that, we got some new updates, man. Um, his son made a statement and came out and said, that he was happy about the way the trial played out. And this is the one they call Diddy Jr. He looked the most like Diddy, King Combs. And after Diddy was found not guilty of the trafficking and the racketeering, but guilty of the illegal prostitution, the article says, his son sat down with Billboard and had some words about the trial. And once the verdict was in, they caught up with him outside the courthouse, and he was in high spirits and expressed positivity. And he said, as a quote, "We love y'all. We love everybody watching. I'm so happy. Pop's coming home. God bless the world." But Diddy's mother had a whole different tune. And she said that she refused to celebrate prematurely following her son's mixed verdict. According to the report, Diddy's mother, Janice Combs, had a much more subdued reaction than the rest of the Combs family after those big charges were cleared. And I think she spoke with, it says, according to the Daily Mail, that's who she spoke with. When they caught up with her, she said she wasn't in a celebratory mood. Even though he avoided the worst charges, the article said, he still faces the two lesser charges, which both of them could carry up to 20 years behind bars. And when Diddy's mom was asked about it, she remained calm. And she said, quote, "It hasn't been easy and it's not over yet. We're not making any plans because it's too soon." And I thought that was a mother's intuition when she said it. I thought that was her letting it be known that my son is still in the hands of the justice system and we don't know how this is going to play out. So let's not play games. Now it seems like Diddy is about to go to trial again, according to reports. And we're going to get into that as we go through the live stream. If you come in, we got a couple rules of the live stream on a couple rules of the room. All I ask is that you guys keep it respectful with each other in the comment section. If you're not a subscriber, you can't be in the comment section. You're not going to be able to be in the chat. Hit that like button if you're watching. Let's keep the likes up to 50% of the people in the room. If 100 people watching, 50 people hit that like button. Helps the channel grow. Helps the video go out to more people. And it's a big favor to me. We do a lot of work to bring this information to you guys. A lot of research, a lot of articles we got to read, a lot of work. So all I ask is that you guys hit that like button. And we start every live stream with a prayer, man. So we're going to start that way today. I love to pray for you guys before we get started. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you, God, grateful for another day, grateful for another opportunity to get it right, God. God, we're not what we look like. We don't look like what we've been through. And God, we're grateful for that. I ask that you bless everybody that's listening. I ask that you bless their family, their children, their loved ones, God, and let them get to and from safe today. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's jump into this, man. So the reports are coming out. And it seems like, if you guys remember, O.J. Simpson's lawyer, he after the trial, when the judge said some things, and I'll remind you guys in a second what the judge said to Diddy and his lawyers. But O.J. Simpson's lawyer, who's much older, and he's been watching this case closely as well, he made some statements that he felt like, Diddy is going to get the maximum sentence, or he felt like Diddy was going to get a long time in jail. And then we saw reports come out that the prosecutors were requesting that Diddy would do somewhere between 4 and 5 years in jail for the charges. And while Diddy's lawyers were requesting that he would do 1 or 2 years. And they tried to get him out on bail. They requested, if you guys, just as a recap, you guys remember, they requested that Diddy would go home immediately. And the judge wasn't going for it. If you remember that report, we have it right here. The judge said, as a response, first Diddy's lawyers asked him, or they pretty much told him, "We demand our client go home today." This is the day of the trial after Diddy was found guilty of the 2 charges. It's like he should go home on bail today. And the judge was like, "So what are you suggesting, sir? Are you suggesting that I just let him walk right out the front door of the courthouse?" And the lawyer was like, "Ooh," because he got kind of scared because the judge wasn't playing. Like, the judge was saying it half-hearted, like sarcastically. Like, what you think? I'm gonna just let him walk out the front? And Diddy's lawyers was like, yes, sir. That's what we're requesting. And so the judge was like, all right, go back, write letters, come back. Prosecution, you write a letter. Diddy's defense, y'all write a letter, come back, and I'll make a decision on if he gets bail or not. Man, that decision was made before them lawyers even wrote the letter. And I'm gonna show you guys this. So the judge then said to Diddy's lawyers when they came back, you full-throatedly said in your closing argument and told the jury that there was violence in this case. And domestic violence is violence. You said that this is a case that did involve violence. That's what the judge told Diddy's lawyer. Then Diddy's lawyers tried to respond and said, well, there's only been one evidence of violence since 2018, which was a June 2024 altercation with the Jane Doe that testified, where Diddy admitted to stomping her out in the back of an Escalade. And then Diddy's lawyer said that Diddy entered a batterers program, like they was pleading this case. And it was saying, and he's a man in process of working on himself. And so the judge was like, no, like he's going back to jail. I'm not going to give him bail. All this is very important, right? And so after that, Diddy was like, yo, I want to talk to the judge myself in court. And then his lawyers was like, Mr. Combs, Your Honor, Mr. Combs wants to talk to you. And the judge said no. And he said that Diddy's lawyers told him, okay, well, we'll see what Diddy wants to say. So then the judge denied the bail. And Diddy had this reaction, which we remember. Everybody was like, we was all watching this. They said his mouth dropped, his eyes widened, and he went back to jail. When that happened, all the legal analysts around the situation were pretty much like, that was weird, because it felt like an indicator that Diddy would probably be getting a lot of time and that the judge would be looking to put him in jail for a little while. So it was speculated that time period will probably be about 4 to 5 years. So then, giving you guys the update over the last couple of days now. Over the last couple of days, some things have been filed in the court. And it said prosecutors are seeking a long prison term for Sean Diddy Combs and opposing his bail still. This just happened today, actually. So here's the thing. They fired the former prosecutor, the prosecutor that was working on the case. She got fired, Maureen Comey. She got fired not because of just Diddy, but she was also the one working on the Epstein case. And there was a whole bunch of reasons why she probably got fired. We don't know the exact reason. She said that she didn't get any details on the specifics of why, but she was fired. So there's a new prosecutorial team working this Diddy case now, or somebody in charge, somebody new in charge. So Maureen Comey was going in there like, yo, let's give him 4 to 5 years. According to the report, it said prosecutors said they now expect music mogul Sean Diddy Combs could face a prison sentence, quote, substantially higher than the 4 to 5 years they once thought he was likely to face after his conviction on 2 prostitution-related charges. This is why I think Diddy started panicking, and we'll get into that in a second. It said they made an observation late Thursday in a federal court, in a federal court written submission in which they also opposed Diddy's request this week to be released on a $50 million bail while he awaits an October 3rd sentencing. So he's getting sentenced on October 3rd one way or another. Now, keep in mind, he offered $50 million prior to this situation. And the judge denied it like 3 times prior to this. And when the judge denied it, he said the same thing. He said the same thing that he's still saying now. The judge denied this previous bail attempt last year before the trial. And the judge's quote was, I see no reason to grant bail now. I denied the bail before the trial, and I don't see a reason to grant it now. Also, something that's worth noting is that immediately on this most recent attempt, when Diddy requested the bail, not for the $50 million, I'm talking about right after the trial when he requested it for the $2 million or the $1 million bail, the judge got a bunch of letters in from victims um people around the case, and even some of Diddy's former employees saying that we're scared that if you let him out of jail, he's gonna kill us. He got a bunch of letters in within 2 hours of just waiting, because he was waiting on Diddy's lawyers and he was waiting on the prosecutors' letters to come in on to plead their case on why the bail should be denied or granted. And then he got a bunch of letters from other people too, which made the judge probably look at it like, oh yeah, I'm not letting this dude out. And so that's something to keep note of, because it was a similar situation previously when the judge denied Diddy's $50 million bail package before the trial started. And so Diddy's offering the same thing again. We putting up $50 million bail. And he's hoping that he can get out before October 3rd. I don't know why he keeps attempting this, because it seems like the judge has already made his decision. Bro, you're not going home. I get it that you're trying to get out of there. And this is what we was talking about during the trial, where I was telling you guys, as long as they got a conviction, you're convicted this in the court, in the eyes of the court. He's not acquitted. See, public perception and the court's perception is two different things. So to the public, it's like, well, he beat the biggest charges. He beat a RICO. And to the court, they're like, no, he's a criminal. He's convicted on 2 counts of this. So any conviction puts you in the judge's hands. Now, some people would say, we're saying before, everybody had to get taught the laws. Some people were like, well, the judge has to go by the sentencing guidelines. And that's just not the case. Sentencing guidelines in the federal system are recommendations. And the judge can say, no, I think he deserves this much time. Forget the guidelines. I think he deserves this much time based on the facts of the case. All the judge will have to do is write a letter and say that's what it is. And then people were like, well, he could take it to Supreme Court then. No, he can't, because Supreme Court already ruled on it. In 2005, they had another case where they granted the federal judges permission to go outside the sentencing guidelines. So a precedent was set. And because of that, there's nothing that he could really do. And so that's how the system works. Once a precedent is set in the Supreme Court, it just trickles down. It all rolled downhill like plumbing. You know what I'm saying? So there was nothing he could do in that situation. Now, he's offering the same $50 million bail package. And I'm not sure exactly why, unless what we're about to show you guys next, which is he's panicking. Because he realizes that, like this article says, the prosecutors now expect Diddy Combs to face a substantially higher prison sentence than 4 to 5 years. So some information may have came to Diddy that this judge don't like you. And because of that, you're about to get a lot of time, bro. And so Diddy's like, oh, wait, $50 million bail package. Let me get out of here. It's a panic almost. And here's the thing, man. When you go to jail, I don't care what you go for, especially I can imagine in the federal system, it's really hard. It's really easy to get in there, and it's really hard to get out of there. Jail is slow. Even the way they pushed his October 3rd sentencing back, it's like, bro, just go back to jail. To have him sit from July to October to wait on sentencing just to give him 2 years, that's not going to happen. So all signs point to, he was going to get some time. It says in early July, the article, Diddy was acquitted, and Diddy is 55 years old, by the way. Says he was acquitted of racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking charges that carry potential life prison terms, but he was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution for arranging for girlfriends and male prostitutes to travel to engage in sexual encounters that he filmed. Each prostitution-related charge carries a potential maximum of 10 years in prison. Now, here's what this was another thing people were saying that was false. Oh, the judge has to run them concurrent. If you just do a quick, simple Google search, is a judge mandated? Is a federal judge mandated to run prison sentence concurrently? It's going to tell you no. The judge has the discretion to run them consecutively if he chooses. It's all up to the judge's discretion. The judge has a lot of power, man. This is why when the judge was telling Diddy to be quiet in the trial, stop talking to the jury, stop doing this, stop doing that, All that stuff matters. When the judge is saying, bro, he's a violent guy, that matters. You know, and I just showed you guys what the judge said. It's like, bro, he told Diddy's lawyers, like, y'all had no problem saying that he's violent and that he beats women and that, yeah, you didn't deny it at all. You said that that's not the problem. So the judge has a viewpoint of who Diddy is, and he's the one deciding his future. So something to consider. The article continued and said prosecutors said after the verdict that they thought federal sentencing guidelines meant to prevent wide disparities in sentencing for the same crimes. Would likely call for a prison term of 4 to 5 years. But now they're saying they believe that the guidelines range will be substantially higher, raising the risk that Diddy Combs will flee. So they're saying he's a flight risk. That makes the sentencing guidelines higher. They're going to throw these little things in there to say, bro, you about to sit in jail. You know? So the article says that the judge, Aaron Subramanian, will have a wide latitude in determining a sentence and can choose to ignore the guidelines, which are not mandatory. So there you guys have it. The judge is going to have a wide latitude in determining a sentence, and he can choose to ignore the guidelines because they are not mandatory. Diddy's lawyers have said they believe the guidelines, if properly calculated, will call for 21 to 27 months in prison, which is about 2 years, give or take. That means that he would do another year, he would get time served, and then he would go home, right? Or he would, Diddy been in jail for a little over a year now, so he probably would get time served about maybe a few more months and then go home if his lawyers had it their way. On the day of the verdict, the prosecutors won a bail fight after the defense lawyer argued that Diddy should be freed immediately on bail. The judge denied the defense's request, saying that Diddy hadn't met the burden of showing by clear and convincing evidence that he was a lack of danger to any person or to the community. So the judge said, bro, you're a danger to the community. You're a danger to anybody. If you're a danger to one person, I can't let you out on bail. So Diddy's lawyer said that he could renew the request. So in doing so, Tuesday, Diddy's lawyer cited other cases he said were comparable to Diddy's conviction in which defendants were granted bail. See, the problem is the judge don't care because you got arrogant. If I was Diddy, I'd be mad at my lawyer because he was fist pumping outside the courthouse saying, we finally beat them. You got to remember, the federal judges are still paid by the federal government. They're employees of the United States. So you doing all that, we beat them, and while there's on a conviction on the table, it's not like you beat every charge, bro. You didn't get acquitted of everything. You got acquitted of some things. So when there's a conviction on the table, you still supposed to be humble because you playing a dangerous game. This man's life is in, but his lawyer is doing that, which I thought the lawyer is a fool for it, but his lawyer is doing that because, you know, the fee went up. His fee went up, and he feel like because my fee went up, it's all good. There ain't nothing to complain about. So he wasn't thinking, I don't think. I think he was just excited and probably didn't feel like he could beat the case. And then when you win, it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, so Diddy's lawyer cited other cases to the court where they were comparable to the same conviction that Diddy got. He cited severe conditions at the MDC in Brooklyn. And that's where Diddy has been held since he was arrested. He also said that Combs was being treated unfairly for engaging in a swingers lifestyle in which he and his girlfriends sometimes invited male prostitutes to join them in multi-day marathon performances. Prosecutors said in their filing that Diddy's conviction on the prostitution-related counts carry a mandatory requirement that he remain in jail prior to sentencing unless he could prove exceptional circumstances, which they said he cannot. So they said based on the conviction, he's not even allowed to come home. That's just the law, they saying. But they said that if he could prove some circumstances that he can't prove, then he would be able to go home, but he can't. They said that he should remain in prison as a danger to the community. And this is a claim that Diddy's lawyers disputed. And they said this as a quote, Sean Combs will not be violent to anyone. As we said in court, the jury gave him his life back, and he will not squander his second chance at life, nor would he do anything to further jeopardize his 7 children not having a father, and 4 of his children not having a parent at all. Prosecutors also said conditions at the federal lockup have improved considerably since before Diddy was arrested. A federal judge in 2024 blasted the conditions at the jail, including the extensive lockdowns and inadequate medical care. The prosecutor's cases cited by Diddy's lawyer, in which other defendants received bail, were not comparable to Diddy's crimes that he was convicted of carrying out, particularly because of his propensity for violence. That's the phrase that the judge said as well, that Diddy has a propensity for violence, meaning, bro, you just violent all the time. We can't get you to stop being violent, boy. The judge also made a statement saying that Diddy knew that he was under investigation and continued to commit crimes, continued to be violent, and that was a contributing factor on why he kept him in jail as well. So that's something to consider for the judge as well. The prosecutor said the defendant's extensive history of violence and his continued attempt to minimize his recent violent conduct demonstrates his dangerousness and that he is not amendable to supervision. Said the defendant utterly fails to establish by clear and convincing evidence as required that he does not pose a danger to the community. So they basically saying, bro, this dude is violent. He been violent. He ain't stopped being violent. And he going to continue to be violent. Why will we let him out of jail? Now, with this happening in court, this is what caused, I believe, Diddy to panic and his lawyers to panic, which is now getting us to the latest update where he's asking the court for either acquit me or give me a new trial, which is a bold thing to do, right? It's a bold thing to do. Says in a 62-page motion filed with the court, Diddy is arguing in part that the Mann Act, the law under which Combs was convicted on the 2 counts that he was convicted in, was too broadly interpreted to apply to him because there was, quote, insufficient evidence that Mr. Combs transported anyone with the intent to engage in prostitution, even if it includes any sex for money. And they said that the italicized any is included in the filing. So Diddy is trying to argue that we was just bringing these prostitutes, or we was bringing these dudes out and they weren't prostitutes. We was just bringing them out to party, for the little free call. But the problem is that these dudes got on the stand and said, yes, he paid me $6,000 to fly from California to Miami. Yes, he paid me this much to fly from Hawaii to New York. Like these guys got on the stand and said that Diddy paid. They came up with the amount. So I don't know how he's doing this. I think this is just a rush, like filing. And it said that he filed this motion asking that his conviction earlier this month be thrown out or that he be given a new trial. Said the motion further argues that the Mann Act doesn't prohibit Diddy's conduct because, quote, he lacked a commercial motive and did not intend for paid escorts to sleep with him. So that's his argument. He like, yo, I didn't pay for them to sleep with me. I paid for them to sleep with my girlfriend. So because of that, I should get a new trial. The motion also states that upholding the convictions will violate his First Amendment because paying people, quote, paying people to film them in sexual performance is protected by the First Amendment activity. So he's arguing that, we was doing PORN, that this ain't nothing but that. And I was paying them for that. I wasn't paying them for anything else. So we'll see if it's a good argument in court, man. We'll see if the judge is going to grant it. I think if it's left up to the judge's discretion, it's not going to be granted. I don't think the judge likes him. And I don't think he's going to get any love in that regard. It said at minimum, a new trial is required, according to the filing. Said due to spillover prejudice from evidence that would have been inadmissible had the Mann Act counts been tried alone. So that may be a good argument for him. Hey, if we did these charges by themselves, but I don't know that that's how the court system works. I believe they could charge you with whatever they want to charge you with, and that's just what how the trial played out, which may have worked out for the feds, but I don't know. It says, but he's trying to say, if we did these 2 charges that I got convicted of by themselves, without all the other evidence that was brought up in the trial, I would have been found innocent on these ones too. I don't know that grants you a new trial just because you feel that way, though. We'll see. It says, uh, where were we? It says that is the evidence introduced attempting to prove the 2 counts on the trafficking and the 1 count of racketeering on which Combs was acquitted was, quote, inflammatory and was not admissible to prove the Mann Act counts. The jury in Combs' trial acquitted the mogul of 2 counts of trafficking, which were the most serious charges, and 1 count of racketeering conspiracy. Said evidence introduced in the 6 weeks of testimony included witnesses' accounts of Combs hiring male escorts to have these drug-fueled encounters with at least 2 women. And these women both testified, we know that, and said while Combs watched and video recorded the sessions, said no evidence was presented to show Combs physically participated himself in those sessions. So it was just basically hearsay. The women said, he was involved, he was doing this, he was doing that, but there's no evidence presented according to Diddy. So, it says that the filing proposed that he post a $50 million bond and reside in his home in Miami while awaiting sentencing. Said, quote, there has literally never been a case like this one where a person and his girlfriend arranged for adult men to have consensual relations with the adult long-term girlfriends as a part of a demonstrated swinger lifestyle and has been prosecuted and incarcerated under the Mann Act. That's what Diddy's lawyer said. Says he continued to say Sean Combs should not be in jail for this conduct. The same day that he was convicted, I just told you guys the judge denied his bail prior to sentencing and cited a provision in the transportation to engage in prostitution law that the judge presumes the detention. Basically, this law states that you can't get bail because of the type of crime that you were convicted of. So Diddy's requesting a new trial. So we're going to see how the judge reacts to that, and we're going to see if the judge is allowing him, is going to allow him to come home. But one way or another, it's being reported that he may get out just by being cool and kissing the ring for Trump. And this is why I say that all that black man, don't say nothing about a black man, all that stuff y'all be talking about is BS. Because y'all be super anti-Trump and saying everybody should be on code for this. And Diddy was like one of the leaders of that. We can't get Trump in office. But now he running behind the scenes trying to get a pardon from Trump. And so this is what the report is saying. Said Trump's pardon for Diddy reportedly hinges on bail hearing as president feels rapper was unfairly targeted. President Donald Trump is reportedly giving serious consideration to a presidential pardon for music mogul Sean Diddy Combs ahead of the rapper's sentencing in October. And this is something that Diddy requested. Let me see if I can find that article. Diddy requested it previously during the trial when he felt like he was going to be convicted of something. This is before he was convicted or anything like that. And I'm trying to find that article, the original one. I think it was back in March, if I'm not mistaken. This is before the trial started, and let's see if we have it here. It was before the trial started. They had his quote, or his team's quote, when they first requested it. And that was an indicator that Diddy felt like he was going to lose this trial at that time. Give me a second. Let's see if we can find it before we move forward, because I thought it was important. Said Diddy called Trump a friend of mine. Since when, fool? Here it is. Got it. It says right here, back in May 16th, Diddy's close associates are reportedly trying to get a pardon from Donald Trump. So Diddy's been working on this for a while. And it said that per a Rolling Stone report, the Bad Boys moguls close associates are trying to secure a presidential pardon from Donald Trump. The alleged move was revealed by sources supposedly close to the situation that spoke to the outlet. During the presidential transition and the convicted United States president's first few months of his second term, Diddy's team allegedly started to attempt contact. This allegedly includes longtime friends and partners of Puff's who reached out to various Trump transition and administration officials, as well as other close individuals to Trump. Said he's willing to do anything to get out of jail, one source alleged. They have allegedly known Combs for over a decade, and this group of associates also reportedly have years-long bonds with him. He's always been this way. He's always going to do what he has to do to get out of the situation. He doesn't even like Trump, the source said. So he don't like him, but he'll use him, according to the source. Elsewhere, the alleged sources claim that this is an ongoing preliminary process. Allegedly, some Trump officials who know of this alleged attempt are hesitant to commute Diddy's serious charges if convicted. But now we know that Diddy's been convicted. So let's get to the latest update on if Trump is going to do it now or not. That's how Diddy requested it previously. So now, here's what it's saying. It says that Trump is reportedly giving serious consideration to the presidential pardon for Diddy ahead of his sentencing in October. However, according to reports, this potential pardon hinges greatly on the outcome of the rapper's upcoming bail hearing. So, based on what the judge does, based on if the judge is going to be cool and let Diddy get out of jail, that's going to determine if Trump considers a presidential pardon. Said the music mogul asked the judge to release him on $50 million bond after several of his previous attempts to secure bail was denied. Trump previously hinted at the possibility of a pardon for Diddy, noting that he will have to, quote, consider the facts first. Trump is reportedly considering handing Diddy a presidential pardon following the court battle. Diddy's been in jail since last September. And it says he was charged with which all the things we know that he was charged with. And it said, obviously, they're just giving us an update that he was acquitted of the more serious charges. According to TMZ, the sources claim Trump is more than open to, that's a quote, more than open to pardoning Diddy. But that decision hinges on the judge's final decision on the rapper's latest bail petition. That just kind of shows you how interwoven the federal judges are with the government, because they work for the United States. So I don't know which way the pendulum swings on that. I don't know if Trump is saying, if the judge denies his bail, then I'm going to give him the pardon, or if the judge gives him bail, then I'll give him a pardon. I don't know which way the pendulum swings. Maybe they'll tell us in a second. But I think that personally, just from what we see, just from the public image of Trump, I think that this really hinges on how bad Diddy gonna get on his knees and grovel. Pause. No Diddy. Like, how much you gonna beg me, bro? I think, especially because Diddy donated some money to Kamala and helped her do fundraisers to get her in office. Trump, obviously, the issues he had with Biden and that whole administration. Diddy did a lot, saying a lot against Trump before asking for this pardon, saying that we got to prevent this dude from getting in there and blah, 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 blah. So I think it's really like Trump is just stretching it out on an ego trip. Like, bro, show me how much you really wanted me to get you out of jail. Like, show me how much you want this favor. What you going to do for me? And obviously some people is going to make the joke that all the offenders got to stick together. What's the Kendrick line? What's the Kendrick line? And Not Like Us, where predators move in flocks. The predators move in flocks. Name got to be registered and placed on neighborhood watch. So people going to make those jokes, like, because of what's going on with Trump and Epstein, right? Like, not releasing those Epstein files like he said he would before he got elected. So the article says that TMZ sources claim Trump is more than open in the pardoning Diddy, but that decision hinges on the judge's final decision on the latest bail petition. The outlet reported that if Diddy is granted bail, okay, here we go, Trump will hold off on his decision until Diddy's sentencing. If the judge denies him bail, a decision will be made immediately. So maybe they still not really telling us what kind of decision, bro. Let me read that again. If Diddy is granted bail, Trump will hold off on his decision until Diddy is sentenced. If the judge denies him bail, a decision will be made immediately. So is that, we don't know. Is that Trump trying to put pressure on the judge to say you need to grant him bail if you don't want me to get him out immediately? Or is that Trump saying, um, like what is that saying? We don't know. Or is that Trump saying like I'm not even going to consider it if he goes back to jail, I'm not even going to consider it. We don't know. It does feel like to me, just in connotation and in tone, that if the judge denies Diddy's bail, I'm gonna let him out right now. That's what it feels like Trump is saying. According to the outlet, the insider explained that Trump resonates with Diddy in his case because, like him, he feels the finna get loose rapper was unfairly targeted by the feds, especially as the lead prosecutor in the case, Maureen Comey, was recently fired. Is there some? Let me know in the chat real quick. Is there some tie between the Comeys and Trump that I'm unaware of right now? Because I haven't done too much research on that. I should have did more research on it before I got on live with y'all. But somebody let me know in the chat. I know that Comey family is, I hear that name a lot. But tell me, is there some relationship between them and Trump that I don't know about? The source also added that the timing of the potential pardon would be, quote, perfect, as it helps turn attention away from the Epstein scandal. So they're saying it's the distraction. Y'all know how we always be talking about that online. Like, man, they trying to distract you from this. So they saying this article says, or the source says, that this would be a perfect distraction for Trump away from the Epstein scandal. And maybe that might play a part in his decision on what goes on with Diddy. Interesting take, right? Said the dad Comey led the prosecution. I see you in the chat, Noah. Thank you. Said the dad Comey led the prosecution against Trump. His daughter led the one against Diddy. So that's the tie. Because I thought that was interesting that they put that in the article. That makes sense. Like I don't like the Comeys. If I'm Trump, I don't like the Comeys. Her dad tried to get me convicted. The daughter tried to get Diddy convicted. And it's not even that I like Diddy necessarily if I'm Trump, right? It's that I'm trying to get back at her dad for what he did to me. And I'm glad she was fired, but I want to give one final FU. Because I can't imagine Trump just doing it just on the strength of Diddy asking. Trump don't seem like the kind of guy that goes back. Now, 50 Cent said that he would contact Trump and let him know to not let Diddy out and why. And 50 and Trump actually have a really good relationship. It was reported that Trump offered 50 $500,000 to endorse him and then offered him $1.5 million later on to endorse him on the second term. And 50 denied the money both times, but Trump still kind of gave a nod to 50 Cent. And when he was running for office, when he walked out to Miniman at the RNC after being shot in the ear and all that. So I don't know if 50 and Trump's relationship, if that's going to have some bearing on it. But that is an interesting twist. So if Trump hates Maureen Comey's dad, which if you tried to get me convicted, I probably hate you too. But that would make a lot more sense why he would be, being petty and trying to, let Diddy out based on that. Said the possibility of the presidential pardon for Diddy has been a recurrent topic since Trump first floated the idea in the Oval Office 2 months ago and said, quote, I would certainly look at the facts if I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, he said at the time. It wouldn't have any impact on me. Man, it has all the impact on you, bro. Maybe not Diddy, but these other people, the Comeys, that has all the impact. You care if they like you or don't like you. And so you always got to remember with Trump, a lot of these billionaire dudes, they don't like being told what to do. And a lot of them is only going to make decisions based on their ego. I'm a Cowboys fan and Jerry Jones is one of those people. That's how I know. Unfortunately for me, I'm a Cowboys fan, man. By the way, pay Micah Parsons. Anyways. So, Trump ain't doing nothing that don't benefit him. If he's doing something for Diddy, it's because whatever he does for Diddy is going to benefit him in some way, some shape, form, or fashion. So it says Donald Trump said Diddy used to, quote, really like him a lot until he entered the world of politics. Trump weighed in on his relationship with Diddy as they once walked in the same social circle in New York City many years ago. The president hinted that the rapper may have stopped supporting him after he began his political journey. He said, quote, he used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up from what I read. He said, Trump said, I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I read some little bit of a nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. So I think they're just kind of catching us up on the bail request and the rest of this article and all the things that we already discussed pretty much. We'll see how this plays out, man. What do you guys think about this? Let me see what you guys think about this in the chat as we go through it. Do you think that it's a possibility that Trump is going to allow Diddy to be pardoned? And what do you think about the overall case? We got a poll in the chat that says, does Diddy deserve the maximum 20-year sentence on this case? 76% of people are saying yes, 24% are saying no. I'm curious, for the ones that say no, what do you guys think he does deserve? Because he is convicted. What do you think he should get? How much time do you think is fair for this type of case? The presidential pardon part is interesting. I want to see how that plays out. I think maybe Trump, it might be he's serious, and it might be a case of he just floating and showing that he has the power to the Combs. Says somebody believes he should get time served. What else what do you guys think? Why? Why do you think he should get time served? Explain it to me. We got this lawyer breaking down and giving a quick synopsis of the situation. And I'm going to let you guys hear what he has to say as well. Said, I voted for Trump both times. Please don't make me regret my vote. I think you're an amazing president. Please, God, don't let Diddy out. Let's see what this lawyer has to say. I see you guys in the chat. Keep dropping your comments. I'll keep reading them. Let's see what this lawyer has to say about the situation, man. He's been covering the entire case. I want to see if he has any insight. I haven't watched this. We're going to react to this and watch this together. Heard yet. So let's check it out.
On the Diddy case, one motion basically requesting bail while we're waiting for his sentencing in October. Two, requesting a new trial, requesting that the charges be thrown out completely. Been looking at a lot of, and this has been coming from lawyers, supposedly lawyers who do criminal defense work, who are out there saying, Diddy should just go away. Why are his lawyers filing this stuff? I'm sick of them. When you are fighting for a human life, no matter whose it is, then you want somebody who's going to fight for you every tooth, every nail, every inch, every mile, everything whatsoever, because this is somebody's life. I don't care if you like it or not. As lawyers, we take an oath that when we take on a case, we're going to fight for somebody no matter what, for as long as we can. And if you yourself find yourself in trouble, you want a lawyer who is going to fight for you. You need us on that wall. You want us on that wall. You want a lawyer who's going to fight for you no matter what.
100%.
Now, taking away the fight, lawyers do not have a lot of bosses. We really don't. But we do have one, and it's called the Supreme Court. And they are watching everything that lawyers are doing. And there are certain rules and certain requirements to make sure you are doing things the right way. In a case, people are saying, I can't believe that lawyer made the motion. Well, there are rules that require you to do things. Specifically, when you're in the middle of a trial, the prosecution gets done with their case. You are required to bring a motion. Required, whether you want to or not, whether you think it's believable or not. You are required to bring a motion that's called a directed verdict motion that basically says, I don't think the prosecution has done their job. After you put on your own case as a defense attorney, you're required to bring in certain motions. You're supposed to say, again, I don't think they've done a job. I don't think they presented enough evidence. I don't think they've done what they're supposed to do. Give me a new trial. You're required to do these things. And then after the jury comes back with a verdict, you're required to bring those motions again. That's what Diddy's team is doing right now. They are basically bringing the motions that are required, that are incumbent upon being a lawyer. So any lawyer who out there saying they need to stop, don't realize what the fuck they're talking about, because they have a duty to bring these motions, and they're doing a very good job. And if you've read these motions, the logic in them is very sound.
I agree.
The logic in them is basically saying, Judge, throw these cases out. The Mann Act, for which I have been convicted of, which is talking about commercial sex act, is not based upon the facts of what this prosecution put forth. It makes a lot of logical sense. Two, they're saying, if you give me a new trial, all that evidence that they utilized against me probably wouldn't come in a second trial for a prostitution charge for the Mann Act violation. That would not be allowable. It is illogical, but most importantly, I need everybody to understand it is required. But don't get mad at lawyers who are fighting for a client. I don't care if you like Diddy, don't like Diddy. The system requires lawyers to fight for him as hard as they possibly can, and that's exactly what they're doing. Period. Now, do I think this judge is going to throw this case out?
Nope.
Absolutely not. What they're doing is setting up for an appeal.
Yep.
Okay. And the appellate court, there's a little quote that appellate courts are like children. They are to be seen and not heard. They don't get bothered until they are called upon. Appellate courts don't get involved until you make an issue. So if Diddy's team does not protect these issues later, a court of appeals, when they're reading the things, it's like, you want me to rule upon the fact that the judge should have done blank? Well, you didn't bring it up. So that's why his team has to bring up these issues, that we have a problem with the Mann Act. We have a problem with this. We have a problem with this evidence, because they need to put all of this stuff on what's called the record, so that the court of appeals later can look at it and say, yeah, you know what? The judge made a mistake or didn't make a mistake.
Right.
That's why they're doing these things. So don't read into it the wrong way. They're doing their job, and they're doing a damn good job of it. And then finally, the last thing, somebody asked me a question. It's like, do you think Trump could pardon him now? Yeah, it's a possibility. If you look at the Comey situation, if you look at what he was actually convicted of, not what he was accused of, what he was convicted of, look at the purpose and background of the Mann Act, like his defense team said, I could see it. But usually, historically, presidents pardon individuals who support them. Diddy hasn't done a lot of support towards the president, but who knows? It is a possibility. But people out there, lawyers out there, stop saying this stuff out loud, that Diddy's team needs to stop fighting for him. The fuck? Take that.
Everything he said was valid. Everything he said was valid. The lawyers got to fight. If I'm paying you, you got to fight for me. If you don't, that could be an appeal of improper representation. Like, if you don't do everything you're supposed to do, you don't tell me every option that I have, it's an appeal anyway. But I do think that they're setting up for an appeal, which lends to me, even hearing that, if they are setting up for an appeal, that means that Diddy and his lawyers believe that he's about to get a lot of time. And I don't care what's going on. If you've never been to jail, if you never had to sit in jail, even if you have the opportunity for an appeal. And Renee, thank you for your super chat. Even if you have the opportunity for an appeal, you don't want to be sitting in jail waiting on an appeal or hoping for an appeal. You want to go home. You want to go home. That's the last situation that you want to be in. You know? So that's just something to consider. Seems like everything I said, the lawyer that we just listened to, Mr. Kent, said as well. Somebody in chat Renee in the chat said, Diddy goes free. I guess Maxwell will also. Craziness. Yeah. Maxwell Ghislaine. I just learned how to say her name. I used to say Ghislaine or Ghislaine. Ghislaine Maxwell. Her whole situation we already reported on. You guys can go watch that live stream too. And the Trump Epstein thing, we reported on that. I thought somebody else said a really important comment too. Here it is. Kerry said, no, because the article said that this will be a distraction. This would be a good distraction for Trump. The Diddy situation, if he pardoned him from the Epstein case, right? And Kerry said, no, this will add fuel to the Epstein situation. He's going to look like he condones this sort of lifestyle. Facts. I agree. If Trump, I don't know that Trump is really going to do it. I think he just like dangling the carrot. You know what I'm saying? And just trying to show the Comeys probably that I could do it. And don't forget who's in charge. And also trying to make Diddy bow down pretty much. Kerry has a question. Said, let's say he gets out. What will his social life in the industry look like? Even if not legally convicted, he's morally convicted. I don't know, man. The public moves on fast and money talks, especially outside in the public eye. We remember when Diddy was about to go to jail, the way he was running around doing PR. And that's why the feds came and hurry up and arrested him, because when Diddy starts going around doing PR, he's one of the greatest marketers in the game. So people start forgetting that you're Diddy that did all these freak offs and all this stuff, and they start making a joke of it. It becomes a meme. People laugh for 2 years, and then it's like back to our regularly scheduled program. So if he comes home, I think that maybe for a couple years, a year, 2 years, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I believe Diddy was gonna do if he's gonna get out eventually. But if he gets out soon, I think what he's gonna do is, I'm a born again Christian, y'all. I got right with God in there, man. I know I stomped her out 6 months ago, and I know that I was lying about it 3 months ago. But man, I'm a born again Christian, y'all. And hey, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with coming back to Christ at all. I just don't think it would be genuine in Diddy's case. You know what I'm saying? I think he would come out, go down that path, because who can argue with that? Play that PR game. Let TD Jakes pray for him on a Instagram video in a year, when TD Jakes' little situation died down, because he didn't step down. When it dies down for TD Jakes, come on here and then go back to bullying. Hey, bro, you gonna say the right thing, or I'm gonna make you say the right thing to the public. Hey, you gonna do this song, or I'm gonna make you do the song. And he goes back to doing what he was doing before all this happened. I don't think Diddy is reformed or changed at all. I don't. I think he just want to get out of jail. I don't think he's learned anything, because my father used to tell us that change comes from consequences. Nobody would do anything if there was no consequences. You know why you don't drive fast on an open road? Because there's a consequence if you get caught. Consequence deters everything. For Diddy, if he comes home in 2 years, 4 years, what was the real consequence? You know, I'm going to do 2 years time served. I'm going to get 2 years in jail. All right, cool. Come home, back to being a billionaire. Back to running around doing the partying. I think he's going to get on Instagram, do some dances, do some prayers with TD Jakes, and the public is going to forget. Now you're going to have a sect of the public that says, I don't care. This dude beats women. On camera, he was beating women. He admitted to stomping another woman out last year, June of last year, which means he still do this. This is how he lives. There's probably 100 women that didn't come to court. He's not a good guy. I don't care. Which everything about him that we found out, Diddy's not a good dude. But he is a marketing master. He's a master manipulator too. So I think he comes home, that's what's going to happen. You know, you're going to see him do some stuff. There's going to be some memes, some jokes for maybe 3 months. 50 Cent going to talk about it for 6 months. And like I said, TD Jakes going to pray for him on Instagram Live, and it's going to go back to normal. That's how I believe Diddy would play it out if he came home, man. That's all I got for you guys on this live stream. God bless you guys. Hope that you guys was informed and entertained by this. And, you know, remember, stay out of trouble, man. Remember, we all got a personal brand. We all got things that people look at us and say, that's who that person is. Make sure it's the right things. Stay out of trouble. Stay out the streets. Be careful how you deal with women. Be careful how you deal with your life, how you manage your life, and how you manage your blessings. Because God give you big blessings. The scriptures say, to whom much is given, much is required. So, you know. And make sure you pray for your kids and pray over your kids, man, because this world is crazy right now. That's all I got for you guys. I'll see you guys on the next live stream. God bless.